Alright, Path of Exile players, let's go over what are the best uniques for leveling and progressing into the endgame, but also some of the good items that people are using at the endgame. There's a really great website called PoE Ninja that actually has all of the stats, and we're going to be looking at this little section over here, going over some of the top uniques played at the endgame. But I want to start off this video with a bunch of the uniques that you can use while leveling, and some of these do see some play even towards the endgame, because they're just simply really good up until we get, of course, our godly piece of gear. So I'll also explain briefly why. So first off, Gold Rim, this is literally just used for the resistances, and the level requirements are basically nothing, but you can get up to 35 to all res, which is quite good, and you also get a nice little small amount of increased rarity, so it's kind of nice. The next one up is Wanderlust. Now, while it does only give you 20% movement speed, the big bonus with the boots over here for the Wanderlust is that your speed is unaffected by slows. There's so many different hinders, grasping vines, all these other things that just slow your character down. It really actually helps out throughout the campaign, and even in the end game, this is literally one of the ascendancies that you get in the game to just have Wanderlust effect. It does give you dex, but again, it's just really used for specifically unaffected by slows, and 20% movement speed in PoE 2 is pretty massive. We don't have like 7 League over here. Anyways, this is one of my favorite items that a lot of people don't know about. A lot of people know about these two, but a lot of people don't know about Dust Bloom. This is one of my favorite items in the game for leveling, and that is simply due to it gaining what's called fragile regrowth. So how it works is you just start gaining fragile regrowth for free, and then how it works is you gain 1 fragile regrowth each second, but you lose all of it when you get hit. So you can have up to 10 of these, and so what it does is it can give you 100% mana regeneration. And it can also give you 0.5 of maximum life regen per second. So basically that comes down to 5% of your max life regen, which is pretty good. Again, this is counting all of the stacks. It's 0.5 and you get 10 stacks of it. So yeah, it's actually pretty nice. And it also is evasion based, since everyone and their grandma right now is playing the class to Deadeye. And you can see via the leaderboard, it's going to be a pretty easy thing to have some access to. So yeah, that's another fantastic item. Another one that is actually quite good, although this one is something where you do have to spam dodge roll if you want to get through the campaign as quickly as possible, which is what you usually want to try to do. If it's your first time playing, honestly, just play the campaign, but like some people just want to rush to the end game. I get it. This is an excellent thing to have because it gives you increased evasion rating if you've dodge roll recently, and again, everyone's playing Deadeye, but it's plus 1 meter to dodge roll distance. This is actually pretty massive for leveling. It also gives you some HP, again, dex, again, Deadeye. It's good because like basically half the player base is playing this, but specifically or playing the class, not necessarily this item, but it is a great leveling item as well. And then this one over here, it does require you technically be level 26, but I think that this is a fantastic item because it gives you onslaught on kill, which can increase your movement speed and action speed, which is pretty big. Gives you some accuracy, so I guess if you're playing like Amazon, it gives you another bonus. But just for progression, even into the end game, I mean, there's not really anything that's going to give you onslaught other than this helmet, which isn't the cheapest item, but it doesn't have like a huge level requirement. It's 27, but it still is a little bit more pricey, just as a heads up. But getting onslaught in PoE 2 is quite nice to have. Notice these are the items that again are going to be good for leveling. All of the good legendary or unique ones over here. In PoE they call it uniques, but I know for Diablo the terminology is like legendary. It's the same concept though. But now we're going to get into some of the stuff that people are playing even towards like the end game. These are the most popular ones. So this is one of the best items in the entire game, and think of it kind of like one of the Watcher's Eye. So it's a limited to 1. It's called Heart of the Well. It is a diamond jewel, and it rolls with like alien language over here, but then you roll certain things on it. It is RNG. There are cheaper ones, and there are really good ones. This one, I mean, like a lot of the cheap ones are going to be trash, just like, again, Watcher's Eyes, if you've ever played Path of Exile 1. But the good ones, they can go up like crazy. I'm talking mirrors, okay? So these are some of the best legendary and, again, uniques in the game. Just throughout the whole game, not just the early stages, because we already talked about those. But as far as this goes, you can get some really cracked out ones. I mean, look at this one over here. 15% for lightning damage with hits to be lucky. That can roll up to 25%, and you can already get 30% on the tree. And you are limited to 1 of these, and if you get something else, I mean, you can have 50% plus chance of your lightning damage to be lucky, which is pretty massive, especially if you mix it in with like Tingle Tongue. Oh man, this thing is so crazy because it also can give you crit damage bonus, and on top of that, you get that critical hit chance. This one is a really godly one. Again, you can get some of these for really cheap because people just don't like know exactly what works with certain builds, but there are a lot of good ones, even for like really cheap ones, because this one, like, you can gain rage on hit. Again, you can get pierce if you do need it for your build, but overall, these are one of the best items in the game. And again, I would say pretty much towards the end, every single build will be playing with one of these. Again, this is the #1 spot for most popular item at the end game here right now for unique items. Again, legendary and uniques. But again, you can get cheaper ones. Now the next one up is actually a bunch of charms. There's a lot of really good unique charms. For those that don't want to get any sort of poison sort of immunity, you could just run All Carly's Gift. It also has this bonus of recovering mana and life flasks. I don't know why this one's super popular, to be honest with you guys. Sometimes I do know why, but this one is just one of the most popular items in the game right now for, again, uniques and legendaries. This one I could tell you though, but yeah, if someone knows exactly why on All Carly's, let me know down below. I'm assuming it's just because you just become immune to poison when it procs. I don't think it's because of this effect, but nonetheless, this one is actually pretty good. So with Vlako's Roar, it's great for any build that is expending frenzy charges, which again, Deadeye can expend them. You can also play the Amazon and expend them with like Lightning Spear. But Vlako's Roar is a Topaz Charm, and it does give you some lightning res, just like you would with a Topaz Charm, but it's a really nice bonus is it grants a frenzy charge on use, and if you have anything that can give you additional charges, that is great. It's just like a free automation of if you get a free charm, cool. And it's super cheap. Most of these items, by the way, with the exception of, again, that diamond, is going to be relatively cheap here. As far as this goes, this is another cheap item. So this one over here creates Consecrated Ground, which is going to heal you over here, and it also gains charges per second, and then it activates when you start bleeding, so then you can just hold still and I guess face tank it and just maybe heal up. And then also another charm right here. Again, there's so many charms right now in the game that are seeing lots of play. This one grants you a power charge when you on use, so basically whenever you take cold damage, boom, you get a power charge. Kind of cool with that. And then also, this is a really good leveling item. This is a relatively cheap and inexpensive one, but this one sees some play even at the end game. So its series Distian is a circlet over here, and it gives you big chunky mana. This one isn't super early game related. Again, these are just more for just uniques that can be even used at the end game. So you get increased rarity, which is actually a pretty good stat. You can get up to 20% right there. And then you have this, which is kind of a bad stat depending on your build, where 10% of the damage taken, it bypasses the energy shield. And then also, this is the main reason why people use it though. You gain maximum life as extra maximum energy shield, which is fantastic. It really helps well-round your character, especially if you early on get a bunch of like plus to, let's say, energy shield percents and you don't have any ES in your build. This is just excellent. There's a lot of builds that can really utilize this towards the end game as well. I like this while leveling. And then another charm over here. This one over here is just used when you take fire damage, and this one will grant you your maximum rage on use. It's a pretty good effect though, especially if you can benefit from rage, which is just like extra damage. Really nice stuff. And then this one over here is just because of spirits, called Enfolding Dawn, another super cheap item that you can get if you want to get some extra res. It's not bad that giving you 13 res. The stats on it are pretty mediocre in terms of like ES and the armor, but you also have a downside, just as a heads up. You gain no inherent bonus from intelligence, but like 100 spirit is pretty good. That's like 3 different auras that you can throw on, and that can be kind of nice, but this is the main reason why you run it. It's just a bunch of spirit, and that way maybe you can throw on that row amount and just speed through the campaign. So maybe this one we could kind of consider it a like a lower level item to use, but again, I didn't mention it in the like the beginning here, but you can use this towards the end. Again, this is still very popular as far as an item goes. The next one is called the Wave Shaper over here. So this one over here gives you some spirit, which again, that's pretty good. You get 2 nice chunky resistances, and then increases and reductions to mana regen rate also apply to energy shield recharge rate, and then you gain 30% of your maximum mana as armor. So if you want to go ahead and start stacking a bunch of mana, that can be utilized for that. And then again, the increases and reductions to mana regen also apply to ES. So that's kind of cool. I would think it was like, was that not Ghost Shroud? It was that other thing that we had at one point is Grim Feast that got completely removed. If any of you guys played earlier on, that was one of the top tier like auras to run in the game. But Wave Shaper, I guess you can start stacking, start recharging a little faster. That's like the big like downside with ES compared to what it used to be with Grim Feast. Next up is Wake of Destruction. Everyone is playing specifically Lightning Arrow, Lightning Rod, Deadeye. And if you just go into melee range, you can apply the shocked round, so you'll guarantee the shock. And then if you want to run like Kotokos or any other things that would give you more damage, but you cannot apply, let's say, ailments, then you could use this, although I would still just have both anyways. But yeah, shocked round will obviously apply the shock, and if there's anything that can like remove it, it'll just be applied instantly. Or you could also go ahead and tame beast and then get a quadrilla that also can apply shocked. Honestly, I think the stats are too mid on the movement speed, but again, this is one of the most popular items, and that's the point of the video. Sometimes it's just kind of worth it to just get the extra damage. This is actually not bad too. Again, it's not like a super high level requirement, but it is seeing play. And again, a lot of times, sometimes in the earlier stages of it, like a league start, it's just because like numerically it's just like good to have. This one over here is Barrier's Anguish, another charm over here, so it's used when you become ignited, and you have a chance to gain a charge when you kill an enemy, but it creates ignited ground for 4 seconds when used, igniting enemies, although dealing fire damage equal to 500% of your maximum life. I've never seen like how big this can scale, but this sounds like it could be pretty insane. I don't know if there's like some sort of stacking in HP, but again, these are the more popular items. And then this one actually made a return. Now, I know it says 20 divines, but like on the high end, this is actually still one of the top tier items. It's because it has this special thing called Bifurcates critical hits. So what this means, I kind of need to explain this, because basically you look at this and be like, dude, the stats are pretty garbage on this. Why would people really want it? Why is it listed for 20 divines? I sold the Tingle Tongue for 100 divines. Literally the first day of the new league last time on Donald, I literally just got 100 divines for my Tingle Tongue because it was a crazy crit hit chance. The reason why this thing is so dang powerful is because it bifurcates. So if you're wondering what the heck is that, because it's not really explained in the game very well. So what it does is it makes it so hits with the weapon roll against their critical hit chance twice. So it's like lucky hit chance on crit. But if both of those actually crit with the bifurcates, each one will basically roll 2 times, and if it rolls double times on that, what happens is the crit damage bonus gets to apply twice, which is crazy. And then modifiers to your lucky hit chance will apply individually to both of those rolls, so you can get extra bonuses on top of it. So basically, at the end of the day, it's just really, really good. It's amazing. But this item can still be gotten for like really cheap. You don't have to get like a top tier end one. The thing that you're looking for, by the way, if you're trying to get this to roll, is specifically that critical hit chance to be as high as possible, and then you run like Hawa, and then you start scaling like flat damage, and then again, because you can get the damage to again roll twice on crit, and then on the crits, basically if it rolls double, then you get quad, and it's just really good in terms of like damage. But yeah, these are the items that people are using, at least for this little like section over. Keep in mind, some of these like a Heart of the Well, it's only 13% now, and some of them might have some like 6%, but these are the most popular ones, as well as some of the good ones for leveling. But definitely look out for Heart of the Well. This is going to be kind of like in the earlier stages when we had some of those timeless jewels where like if you know what you're searching for, you could probably flip these for a pretty penny. But anyways, that's going to go ahead and wrap up the video. If there's any other good ones that you feel like I missed out on, let me know. But these are the most popular ones again currently. And even though some of them may have like 13%, which it sounds low, but these are still pretty big when you consider the grand scheme of things, what people are running in. Again, most of these are pretty cheap, but this one is absolutely amazing. So lock in with this one if you don't have one already. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. If you guys enjoyed the vid, drop a like, sub if you're new, and I'll catch you Exiles in the next video. Peace out.